You are now tuned in to Dope Dynamics on the Hold Up TV network every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Yo, it's your boy DJ Sensi Star, only on the Hold Up TV network. This is Dope Dynamics on another Wednesday night. We about to get into some real live conversation, but before we do that, let me spit a little something like, yo, it's your boy Sensi Star, and we on the Hold Up TV network where the conversations matter, booty popping, shaking our net worth, grinding Monday through Friday, don't matter, we lock it down. I guess we can agree on that when the Vinky come around. Shout out to the man, it's Captain the Rope Planning, family of mine, school, video games, movies, and antics. We got a sport team too, going by the adults from crew. If you hear the moves hollering, you already know what to do. Here's my announcer, Izzy, rapping, singing, get trippy, but don't get it twisted. For shots without missing. That's enough said radio, tree and Leilani on a mission. Guest speakers and letters, you really shouldn't miss it. Kathy D, Love and Carmen, 3 Power Love Latinas, about to blow up in the glue that keeps the team up. Then my man DT Dub, the money maker, gameplay commentator. I love my team of content creators. Yeah, y'all know what it is. DJ Sensi Star, Da Vinky, Princess Bex, Steve, real name, no gimmicks, only on the Hold Up TV network. You know we do this dope dynamic things every Wednesday night. If you don't like what we got to say, politely see yourself out the motherfucking door. So you came for some dope dynamics, well, you in the right place. Our topic and controversy, what we might face, having fun and politicking, no matter what we might say. It's opinions on the table and there ain't no right way. A collection of individuals who could be night and day. 4 members at the table going through it the harder way and won't be pacified just cause Juneteenth is a holiday. We gon' hit you with this MJ, but the fade'll never fall away. Feminists are up and best believe they watching. She got the knowledge and dish out more than Stockton. Real name, no gimmicks, and can't nobody stop it. The Hold Up TV network armed and we locked in. Princess Bex, if you're nasty, yeah, you should watch it. Always keep the crown on, even when she talks shit. I'm the beast slayer, so you better cop quick. You mic for me now, but I'm a DJ till I'm top. You heard what it is. We are now just moments away from Dope Dynamics, exclusively on the Hold Up TV network. You are now listening to DJ Sensi Star on the Hold Up TV network.
Hey, yo, what's going on? It's your man Steve, real name, no gimmicks, joined here by DJ Sensi Star and the Pink Princess Bex, and we are Dope Dynamics, the only place where you can come to hear intelligent conversation by 3 intelligent people of color. F that. Tonight we're black people. We are black. We're not going for any politically correct, inclusive talk because your boy Steve is going to wow out tonight. But before I get there, how the hell is everyone doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm rubbing on my energy crystals right now. I'm producing the chakras from the 3rd wave of the whale.
Of what?
I don't know. I'm channeling someone's ancestors. I may not know these people. They could probably be asking me for money. That would be my luck. I'll channel the ancestors, and I don't even know these people. I'm like, who are you? Really? How y'all doing?
I had a good day. It was a good day.
Yeah, I'm doing wonderful. Happy to be back in the land of the Midwest where we don't have to deal with shit like hurricanes, earthquakes, none of that fuck shit everybody else has to do. We get a piece of snow and that's about it.
Yeah, y'all don't pretend. No, don't do that. Don't act like the Midwest. It's not just some snow. It's like, so y'all gonna die this winter. Some of you gonna live. Some of you gonna die. What up, Zola Dreamers? In early asking, whoa, what about chakras? I missed it. I know I like to put a little some chakras on my Chipotle when I order it.
I cannot with you. Stop it. Now I feel like you're making fun of me. Are you making fun of me?
I sprinkled it. Yo, I would tell you a story about when two homeboys of mine, right before they got into a physical altercation, my homeboy Justin, well, the other dude wasn't my homeboy, he was a fuck boy, but my homeboy Justin, he was a very spiritual guy, but also a very muscular dude, right? And he's behind this dude Gary, who he has beef with. And I think Justin tried to apply his worldview to this beef situation, so they're like bickering back and forth. And then I swear, true story, no lies, Justin's behind him going like this, plucking behind Gary, and Gary's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Look at your chakras." I want you to know that shit went down as well as you think it should go down. It wound up going down with the same man who was plucking chakras before flicking a cigarette in Gary's eyes and then choking him out, trying to release his chakras right from his throat. So, don't think the spiritual community, they won't go there, but not with me. I'll beat the pixie dust out these people. They try to do anything like that to me. Beat the energy back in you.
Not the pixie dust.
I got the same smoke for Catholics. They start making crucifixes. I'm like, take this right hand of fellowship from the Protestants. Bow! Right in the jaw. Stop that madness. So tonight, folks, Dope Dynamics, your man Steve, DJ Cincy Star, your sister Bex, man. I know that I have exactly 10 weeks clean from any volatile talk about our people. I made an oath one night when Da Vinci was still a member of this show, and I will hold to that oath, but I retract nothing that I said. Well, I will be more conscious not to come off as a political pundit or one of those, Candace Owens types that sounds like they are constantly critiquing their community. Anyone that knows me knows that I live and breathe for my community. I am a black man. I love my people, but I am a real pill that you have to swallow because I am, I've been around long enough. But Louis Farrakhan has been a thorn in my side since I can remember forming words. I know what you're saying, Cincy. How could that possibly be true? Me and Farrakhan have had beef since I was 2 years old. In case you don't know, I was raised in the great capital of Manhattan, Harlem, USA, 113th Street, 7th Ave, to be exact, Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard. Shout out to the original slick back nigga who was out there throwing it around, pretending to be a pastor, chasing these women around in the streets of Harlem. Adam Clayton Powell, if you didn't know, that man was a man whore. Civil rights leader, also a man whore. But Louis Farrakhan, I have a very complicated relationship with the Nation of Islam, or at least some of the public figures. I am someone who desperately admires and admonishes Malcolm X. If you don't know that about me, you're probably asking, how can a staunch Christian as yourself love Malcolm X? Malcolm X is my hero. He is everything I've ever wanted to be as a black man. And my beef with the Nation of Islam has always been because of the fallout between them and Malcolm. How does that translate to Farrakhan? Well, if you're a user of the internet, it only takes you a few clicks to go on Google to type in Farrakhan Malcolm X to see some of the things that Farrakhan has said in the past. I was just sharing with Bex and Cincy one of the quotes when he was asked, did the Nation of Islam have anything to do with the death of Malcolm X? And his response, and I quote, was, "And if we did, what business is that of yours?" Not enough for you? He also went on to apologize to Malcolm's daughter in regards to maybe some of the things he said that could have led to the demise of the one true beloved Malcolm X. This is all public record. You can find the videos. He sat down with Malcolm X's daughter. Farrakhan is now caught up in some beef with a young man by the name of Rizza Islam. Are either one of you familiar with Rizza Islam? You're muted, Cincy.
I'm familiar of him and what he does, but I don't follow him or anything like that.
So I do follow Rizza Islam, and let's be clear. My disagreements with the Nation of Islam are strong, right? But we agree on some things. They agree that the issues that the black community face are spiritual in nature, and we face an evil system that we have been victimized by and have sometimes placated to. Rizza Islam is a young man. He's not a young man. He's a man that represents them, I think, extremely well. He was a breath of fresh air for the Nation of Islam. He's extremely intelligent. right? His points, even though I don't agree with the conclusions, are very well thought out, very well articulated, and he has managed to recapture the imagination, as Zola is saying right now, of young people in regards to the Nation of Islam now. And if there are differences between the Nation of Islam and Orthodox Islam. I do believe that Rizza is a part of the camp that prays 5 times a day, which means he makes salat. He just doesn't observe what they would consider any Arabic customary traditions. You know, they don't think that's applicable to the black man. So I dropped the audio in the Discord. I don't know if we want to play it. I don't know if this is still too hot of a topic. Farrakhan addressing, this is all an in-house issue. This audio was leaked. Farrakhan was addressing multiple campuses in regards to Rizza Islam. His fiance has accused him of the R word, of rake, right? You guys following me thus far. And, as is in the Nation of Islam, they have to, has to be corroborated, or there are 7 layers of this type of investigation that has to happen. But Farrakhan, being the leader, addressed Rizza, and Rizza, who has done nothing but ever admonish and spoke highly of this man. Farrakhan came out and said some things in regards to Rizza Islam, saying that, you can't have them all. So, you cannot have them all. You have to have a higher standard and a higher state of morality, is what he's saying. I'll drop the link for the actual audio. Why would that upset me? That portion doesn't upset me. You know what does upset me? You know where this audio can be found at? And either one of you click on the link and happen to know the fucking Scientologist page. It's on a Scientologist page. Why does that bother me? You know who L. Ron Hubbard is? L. Ron Hubbard is the man that created and designed Scientology. Why would Scientology and the Nation of Islam come up in any context? Well, I'm glad you asked, Bex. Because the Honorable Louis Farrakhan has led his people into an easy alliance with Scientology. Yes, that's right. You heard me. I didn't stutter. People practicing in the Nation of Islam are now also practicing Scientology. So I'm going to pause there because I realize I just said a lot and I want to let you guys come in. So which part do you want to jump in on first?
Okay. Who accused who of the R word?
Rizza Islam's ex-fiance accused him of that. Okay. Now, all accounts all over the internet, or people who do not want to expose their friends who are in the Nation of Islam, are saying that these accounts cannot be corroborated. It sounds like this is more of a scorned lover, thing, allegedly. I don't want to assume if it is or it isn't.
Yeah.
But that is the accusation. Louis Farrakhan was addressing that accusation, and in that accusation, he's in the audio, he simply states that I only know what I've read, sister. He's alluding to this that did not happen, but he's saying to Rizza, you cannot have all the women. You have to think higher. You have to be better than this.
That's what he meant when he said you can't have them all.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Let me get the link for the people so they can. But who wants to jump in on the Nation of Islam being on bedfellows with Scientologists? How could? Maybe I'm making a big deal out of it. I don't know.
That's kind of weird to me. And kind of scary, just a little bit.
We're talking about the Nation of Islam is supposed to be the highest state of morality. You guys may not be old enough to know this, but they were supposed to lead us in the most ethical ways possible as a black people. If you've never heard these brothers speak, everything they say is so intoxicating, which is why I have to guard my heart. You may not know this about me. I'm a reformed militant. There was a time I would just sit and listen to these fools on the corner. I'm like, that shit makes a lot of sense what this guy is saying. I got an afro. I'm like, this makes sense. Everything he said makes sense. Until I started digging deeper. But it isn't about me. I want to hear what Cincy has to say about kings, these black kings.
Good old Steve. It's good to see you. It's been like a week, it feels like.
Nubians.
pretend Nubians. They're pretending. Okay, so let's just be clear. This is America, and who in power at this point in our last 20 years hasn't at least dabbled or got entangled in some sort of Scientology, conspiracy, or I'm in power.
Oh,
Wealth. So I mean, no, it's perfect sense. You go where the money is, and if you're already like you're suggesting, a little bit, kind of fucked up in the core. Once you get there, you align yourself with other powers. And even though I think we all know Scientology doesn't have a huge following as far as numbers, and it never will, we do know that's a lot of money in there, and money is the same thing. So it surprise me? Yes, when you think about how much of a contrast there is between the two organizations, but does it surprise me when you start talking about people in power aligning with other people who have power? Not in the slightest bit.
okay. I'm gonna dial it in, right? Because tonight is the night that I'm gonna break this thing down, and it will forever remain broken. Bex is being attacked by her flowers. It's a slow attack. It's like bing, bing.
That was the ancestors behind her telling her to get off this show right now.
Here's the issue, right? Here's my issue, my good brother Cincy. This is my issue, right? And I got no smoke for the African spiritualist tonight. I was joshing when we started the show. My issue is deeply rooted in sentiment and rooted in disappointment in regard to the Nation of Islam. And I'm saying this as a Christian, right? But I recognize what the Nation of Islam could have been when they emerged, right? I recognize that for the first time ever, if you do believe in an established power that was antithetical and destructive and harmful to the Black community, nothing on this earth has ever terrified them the way the Nation of Islam did. And you know why? Because there was no threat of violence other than we dare you. We dare you. We dare you to come back up in here starting that nonsense. When they started talking about reparations, they weren't talking about everyone getting a check. They were like, we will separate ourselves from the rest of this world. We will build an empire within your empire, and we will control our destiny beyond the point that you can have any power over us. They were preaching things to the Black man and the Black woman in the 60s that terrified the establishment. These were brothers and sisters who walked so morally upright that it terrified them. Not because they were like, oh, they're going to burn some shit down. They're going to steal some Nikes. But because they were like, we will take our dollars and we will focus them in one place and in one place only. And from 1960 to 2022, we are now watching the Nation of Islam and their business being aired out on a Scientology site. This is a travesty. This is black excellence turned in on itself. You do not understand, young people, what they were. Forget the Black Panthers. No one was really scared of them. They were like, oh, they got guns. No worries. We got more guns, which was the natural conclusion. But these brothers said, no, we got something more than guns. We're organized. We're organized. And you know what else was great? Let me digress. You know what else terrified them about the Nation of Islam? They weren't on this, oh, kumbaya. We are all one people. If you did not believe what they believed, they would tell you, nigga, get out of my face with that jive bullshit. You Uncle Tom, coon, heroin selling loser. These were brothers that would walk up on drug dealers. You know what I'm saying? Like, would walk up on them with those shoes on, Sensi, those hard bottom shoes, and kick the shit out of these dudes. And now they're listening to the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard, brought to you exclusively by the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Right? How does something like this happen? I'll tell you how it happens. I will tell you exactly how it happens. Confusion, right? Confusion destroys people. Whenever a people says we're going to get organized and they start letting every fool speak at the table, we end up here. We start listening to L. Ron Hubbard, a man who claimed to cure his own blindness through Dianetics. Right? You know what I'm saying? An unproven, washed out, fake pseudopsychology. So Rizza Islam was a new vestige, a new beacon. Zola said it herself. I don't want to assume. I'm sorry. Zola said it. Rizza Islam was bringing young people to the Nation of Islam. Like they were listening again. I listened to this brother on the podcast where he was addressing COVID, Colin Kaepernick, George Floyd, all of it. And you know what he didn't have to do, Cincy? He didn't lean into conspiracy. He had a pragmatic response for each of these things. There were things that he talked about on the internet that I was like, oh man, he's going to get canceled for sure. And he was just so amazingly intelligent in his approach to it. Where I was like, wow, this guy is really good. I was even saying in my head, like, this motherfucker's a problem. Like, I've never thought of myself shying away from the debate from anyone. But I was like, I don't know if I want that smoke from Rizza. Even though I know he's wrong, I'm like, I don't know if I want that smoke from this brother. He's too good. And now, his business with his fiance is up for the white man to see in its highest temple of Scientology. I'm officially declaring the Nation of Islam dead. And for all of you fools that I argue with on Facebook and you team up with the Hebrew Israelites and you try to get at me, and I've served most of you, I said it. This is a sad day for the nation, who I was secretly rooting for in many ways. I really, really wanted them to one day accomplish some vestige of what they... I drove my mother home to Harlem the other day, and we're driving down 125th Street, and I see it was Rosh Hashanah Jewish holiday, and the charter schools in Harlem are still in. They don't observe any holidays, I believe. And I'm watching the young brothers and sisters walking to school, and every once in a while I see one with a dashiki on. I see one with a hijab on, and I know where they're coming from. I know what temple they attend, and I was like, man, this is beautiful. And then this shit happened, and now the anger is back inside of me. So that's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. I was going to leave the nation alone. I'm no real threat to them, right? But I usually make it a point to argue with them because I'm like, what happened? What happened, Cincy? Huh? What happened?
Oh man, it's been so long since we got this side of Steve on air.
I was just about to say, like, I love when you're on your soapbox.
It's here for it. Is what I say. I've said about other groups. I don't think I've ever actually specifically said this about the nation, but I've said this about some other groups that have, I guess, quote unquote, a similar interest. And we've talked. A lot of the stuff that I say and believe in is similar to some of their foundational beliefs, as far as like keeping our dollar and I don't want to say it, but like policing our own community based on what the belief is and who's good for the community. Right. But like you said, when too many people start to have a voice and there's too many people talking in the people's ears of the voices, shit starts to get confused. And just like we've seen, or at least I believe I've seen enough from other Black-led organizations that are, again, quote unquote, for the community, you can only maintain your foundation of being core pro-Black to a point. And then you start to do things when you have outside influence that you can hide behind saying you're pro-Black, but starts to replicate the foundations and structures of the system that you've been fighting against. So you really, does that make any sense? Like you're only doing so much, and then you're becoming just like the person that's oppressing your people.
Let me, Bex, I want you to tap in before I go on another tangent, because this goes hand in hand with a private conversation we have. But go ahead.
Is that the confusion you were talking about, Steve?
It is 100%. It's a part of the confusion. Another part of the confusion is just this. The issue that I have seen with some of our greatest groups, some of the groups who have thought to improve and lead in the community, has always been this, what Sensi described, an over reliance and over emulation of the oppressors, that as they see them, right, they copy the tactics because they think that subterfuge will somehow benefit in the embetterment, but also the bad actors within the community, right? The Nation of Islam in many ways suffered from so many other things. I mean, suffered the same way that so many other groups suffer from bad actors. You don't know who's amongst your ranks, right? I believe that at its core, the message Black Lives Matter was a decent message, right? That what they were going for. But the issue was you don't know who's coming in. Something grows and you don't know who's coming in. And you know what usually happens as something grows? The most vocal person who is new tends to be the person that gets the most attention, and they may not share the core values. Where if the message was Black Lives Matter and we're trying to address these issues, but yes, we are also trying to say that other lives matter, but we're dealing with this specific issue, you start getting other people in who aren't a part of the group, right? And they start projecting.
How long?
How long? What?
How, like, did you just like make this connection? Like, how long have they been connected?
What, the Scientology and the Nation of Islam?
Yeah.
It's years now. It's years. But here's the thing: I've stopped speaking ill about them recently because I had to do some soul searching once new evidence came out about the assassination of Malcolm X. Right. My number one issue with them was the assassination of Malcolm X. If that was the only reason they would remain relevant to me. And then new information came out about the deathbed confession of one of the police officers, et cetera, which doesn't, in my mind, completely exonerate them. It does, however, it was enough for me to go, okay, let me dial it back, because I used to go in hard. My issue with this whole thing is, and I'm going to play the audio. I'll take the chance, man. A lot of people weren't playing it, but I'm going to play it. My issue isn't that Farrakhan addresses, because this is leaked audio, by the way, so it was an in-house issue, right? My issue is that I'm so tired of seeing a group that had so much potential in what I believe to be the last days of this portion of it. I do know there are devout believers in the Nation of Islam, and I'm going to be honest with you, as a Christian, I struggle with the fact that these are some very extremely decent people, and they should be treated with an utmost respect and reverence. Like, we're talking about families here, right? We're not talking about a bunch of militia members looking to blow up buildings. We're talking about families and stuff. But let the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, the guy with the slick back, explain it to you himself. In the audio? They removed the audio. Okay, we're not going to go through that. It looks like they finally did take it down, but it's just a transcribe of it.
Brother Rizza, if you're listening, I wish you very well. A very handsome brother, too. Highly intelligent. But you've got to bring your moral standard up, because the women are going to fall in love with you. But you can't have them all now. I don't know how Solomon made out. I don't know how long he lived either. And she'll kill himself with the 1,000 concubines. But I'm not envious of Solomon. And when you understand who a woman is and what a woman is, please, brothers, don't mess with them. Don't mess over them. they are from God, but they can be from the devil if you don't treat them right. Sisters, we're going to get into that September 16th. The sister is charging you, Brother Rizza, with rape.
Mm.
That's a horrible charge. But to my sister, you lowered yourself. You were engaged to that man. According to what I read. And you allowed him to stay in your house. You allowed him to lay down on your bed. And he laid down beside you. What the hell is going on here? And get angry with you because you act like the savage is just a quarter of an inch under your skin. See, you bring the nigger out of us and then act like you did nothing.
I know we need to start breaking up the audio. So, all right, remember, my issue is not with the substance in which he's saying, right? Because I understand that he's trying to speak to the brother and say that you have to raise your standard. You have to be careful of who you mix company with. And there's nothing wrong with that advice. I want it to be on the record. My issue is that, one, that this audio was leaked. Two, that it's on the Scientology page, right? And I'm not going to play anymore because I have to address something that's being said on the internet, and I'd be irresponsible not to. A lot of people are saying this is not, some people, not a lot, are saying this is not Louis Farrakhan. I know the man's voice, and I do recognize, I believe that this is him, right? He's not come out to denounce it, which he would do very quickly. It is, in accordance with their meetings. He's getting old. He is old. He's not even getting old. He is, at death's door in many regards. It's just sad to me, and now I'm just going to dial it back and not be, so angry. My issue with all of this is that I don't believe what the Nation of Islam believes, and I'm trying to make this make sense. There's a disconnect in my brain sometimes, but I loved what they could have been. Do you know what I'm saying? More than I have ever loved Garveyites, Marcus Garvey believers, Pan-Africanism. I truly, truly loved what the Nation of Islam projected, what it stood for. And to hear that they are in bed with Scientology, goddamn, Leah Remedy has thoroughly refuted this, right? Have we not learned enough from her documentary and from the witness accounts? Like, you're going to bring the people into this madness? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I go back to one of our episodes when I was talking about our leaders. Yes, they're human, but they are holding them. We have to hold them to a higher standard of morality, right? You are leading. I'm just a voice on the internet. I'm just some old fool in his basement doing a podcast with his young friends. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. But these are people that would lead us. And this is where they lead us in cahoots with Scientology. And maybe I'm tripping, Bex. Am I tripping? Like, is this not a sad day? Like the nail in the coffin for a great group. I do not believe, in no disrespect to Hebrew Israelites, especially the Oath Keepers and all those cats from Harlem. but your whole bag comes from what Malcolm and these brothers were doing. Like they did it first. You know what I'm saying? And like it breaks my heart. You're muted, my sister. The devil has muted you.
Do you think that they would be ones to follow?
Huh?
You were talking about the Hebrew Israelites, and you were saying how like basically their foundation comes from the Nation of Islam.
Well, let me be clear, because I know that those brothers will get up here when I say that not their foundation, because they believe two totally different things, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying that in regards to street preaching, I'm going to die on this hill. In regards to the street preaching, the Nation of Islam did it first, because if we're going back to the Oath Keepers or that first, I don't want to call them camp, I'm not going to be disrespectful, but that congregation of Hebrew Israelites in Harlem that were basically Orthodox Jews, they were not out on the streets evangelizing the way that the Nation of Islam is. Now, when we look at the quote-unquote camps and the street preaching, or the air preaching as it's called by Christians, that's Nation of Islam 101. Like these, when we're talking about like people standing outside of churches preaching their message, that's Nation of Islam 101. We're talking about, I think, the closest, and I'm willing to be, this is all opinion, the closest we've ever come to a unified empire or unified voice in America. I can't think of anything that was closer, like that did it. They had hospitals, they had rehab centers, they had rec centers. You understand what I'm saying? Like it was tangible. Yeah, I don't care. Let's talk about Uzi Vert, man. Let's talk about the it was what academic about the old dusty rappers. I'm sorry.
You didn't even answer my question.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Do you think that they would follow? They are. Well, I can't speak for like all of the Hebrew Israelite community, but I remember, when I was growing up in the community, they were really like closely connected. I'm not sure how it is now, how it is today, but do you think that they would follow behind him?
Do you think that that they would follow, that they're going to follow the same potential demise? Or so here's my critique of his Hebrew Israelites, taking into account what you told me about your experience growing up, right? Just like with Sharia believing Muslims, I look at the families, right? And I look at the result on the families. I'm not looking at just the outliers, the people you see on the internet. There are Hebrew Israelite families that I see quite often in the area I live in that come in, and they are families, and they appear to be functioning families. There's a father present, there's a mother present, there are children that appear to be loved and in reverence of their family. I would hope that they would not follow the same path, but wherever you have an organization and a group of people and they are reliant on a specific person to lead them, there's always the chance of corruption and people being led astray. And there are some groups, and remember, all you Hebrew Israelites that are listening, notice I didn't call you camps. There are some groups that I think are teaching things not in accordance with the spirit of their beliefs, but in accordance to the spirit of the flesh, right? I believe that, and I see it, and I believe that they're teaching things that would prop the teacher up as someone more than he actually is. So to answer your question, I think I think they've already started to follow. I don't think they'll ever get in bed with Scientology, but if you'd asked me 10 years ago with the Nation of Islam and with Scientologists, I would have said no. Go ahead, Cincy. Get it.
I don't know, man. It seems like, all right, the whole thing's corrupt, and it's got me thinking of two things, because what we're seeing right here between Farrakhan and Rizza Islam is basically a divide. You were saying, I think all of us here in the chat and on this have been able to come up with our own ideas of Farrakhan over the years, just because he's been around so long that anything that he was going to do has already come to light. You know what I'm saying? So we know about that kind of mess. But it makes me wonder if, because we're moving into a new age, we're not moving into it, matter of fact, we're already here, if it's almost a power play on his part, and if what we're really doing is trying to tear down the people that could be pushing his place on the pedestal.
I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. Are you saying, without saying, that Rizza might have been becoming heir apparent, right? Lewis is in the place where it's time to pass that torch, and it's like, you could be right, man. You could be right, and there are a lot of Christians. First of all, let me say I agree with what you're saying, 100%. Here's what's insane to me, Sensi Bex. When's the last time, like, Louis Farrakhan was on the Breakfast Club? When's the last time you heard of an Orthodox Christian on the Breakfast Club? He came on there and said that abortion is wrong. They would never let a Christian come up there and say that. They would never, but they let Louis Farrakhan come up and say it. Why did they do that? Because the community looks at him a different way. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Breakfast Club is as liberal as they come, right? But they let Louis Farrakhan come up there and speak about our culture, right? And he spoke about chastity. He slid that all in there, and Charlemagne and them didn't give him a bunch of pushback. They pushed back a little bit. Angela Yee pushed back a little bit. He's on Hot 97. This man goes on black radio stations and preaches a message. And it's crazy to me, because if it's true that he's not ready to hand off the baton, then that's the ultimate form of selfish. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're no longer thinking about the people. And I'm just going to draw the parallel, and I want to make sure that my words are my own words and not those of my co-hosts. And this will be the end of my soapbox in regards to this, because I can go on for hours. And yes, someone's going to call me out. There's a brokenness in me in regards to Islam. My conversion from Islam to Christianity was not an easy one. Trust me when I say that. But the parallel that I see between Rizza and Lewis right now, not entirely similar, but there was another young, outspoken pastor or speaker in the Nation of Islam that also had a power struggle that had nothing to do with accusations of the R word. But Malcolm and Elijah went through something like this, and let me be responsible in this regard. I do not think Louis Farrakhan is excommunicating Rizza Islam, but I just find it interesting. You know what I'm saying? I find it interesting. And I do think, for his part, if you listen to the rest of the audio, he's trying to, address that Rizza needs to think higher and not be out in these streets, as Homegirl says on YouTube. So I agree with you, Cincy, and it's just sad, man. It's sad. I think that my love affair with the Nation of Islam was that they really did try to reinstate the dignity of black people, black women, and specifically black men, not as arbiters of like, I own you, woman, but they knew that they had to reinstate the manhood of black men. When they came into it, they said, we have to make these men feel like men again, and not in a chauvinistic way, but it's like, you are the protector of your home. Your sole purpose is to protect the black woman that lives in your house, or the black child that lives in your house. And we're at where we're at now. So that's all I got to say about it. That's all I got, Bex. I'm off my soapbox.
Can I present one question?
Hell no, man.
and I hope it doesn't come off the wrong way, especially to you, my brother.
Whenever they call you brother,
can we please?
Okay.
No, because that's not a question, because I was about to beg. Is it possible to get an organization with the kind of impact that the Nation of Islam has, or, the focus, the desire to build a great black community, without having to directly align yourself with religious principles?
So you're gonna align yourself with something, right? And this is something you and I have gone back and forth. Actually, I don't think we wade in these waters before. We talked about it vaguely, maybe when it was you, Alvin, and myself. You're gonna align yourself with something, right? And there has to be a core belief. There has to be an agreement. I think that people tend to lean towards religious or spiritual solutions to these problems because it's like, I agree, we agree on this. So no, I don't think so. It may not be religious, but the one thing that the Hebrew Israelites, the Muslims, the Nation of Islam, the Orthodox Black Church are saying is that the issues we face within the community are spiritual in nature, and the issues we face outside the community are also spiritual in nature, and we're battling against evil. And however you want to break that down, that's why it's so easy for us to align on that. I'm not entirely sure that we can align on a secular level, as it were, because secularism and progressive thought is just that, it's progressive, right? So the line will continuously move. So I don't know. What do you think?
It's hard for me to say that yes, you could do it. Just because like you said, one big thing about not having like, especially like a religious principle guiding system is that it's gonna progress. So everything can change, and I don't think there's anything wrong with progression from an extent, but it makes it very hard to develop an organization. So the only thing I can think of is, do we need religion to understand morality? And is morality even spiritual as much as it is physical? Is good and bad spiritual or physical? Or do they go hand in hand? I'm not sure. I don't have the answer. I guess what I'm saying is, could you not just create, a community doctrine that you follow by that? Because if you really look at each religion, how to be a good human is not that different from anybody's view of how to be a good human.
Right. So I can't speak for any other groups. I can speak for the ones that I've researched, right? And I can't even speak for them. But I'll say this: when you look at the Hasidic or the Orthodox Jewish community, they're different than the Reformed Jewish community, which is more liberal in nature. If I'm looking at the spirit of what they're saying, the spirit is, it's not about being a good human for the sake of being a good human. It's about being obedient to the God that created you. And in that obedience, peripherally, you are doing things that will not impact other human beings negatively, right? If you look at the Levitical law, the Levitical law isn't about making the Jewish people seem great. It was about making them holy, right? And in regards to Christianity, you're not a Christian because you're amazing. You're a Christian because Jesus is amazing. And if you're a Muslim, you are observing what Allah says about these things and how to live life. To your question about being a good human being, I guess people can unite around that, right? People could unite, but then could they do that in 2022? Because we can't forget about just Black people. Human beings can't even align on what is good anymore, right? What is good, what is permissible, what is wrong. Like if you say something is wrong nowadays, like what? You can't tell me how to live. I spread peanut butter on myself, and that's just who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't say something's wrong nowadays. So I don't know. I don't think so. I used to say this to Da Vinci off air. I am a relic of the past, and I'm quite content with being that. I believe in right and wrong. I believe in good and evil. Right. And I believe that people who believe that there are shades of gray don't realize that the gray that they're operating in often serves evil. Right. And that's so. But to the original point, could Black people unite around something like that? Yes, potentially. But we would have to be in utter agreement of the one thing that no one wants to settle on: what is right and what is wrong. For instance, I brought this up in defense of twerking one night. I was like, people get down on twerking, which I don't think 12-year-olds should be twerking, but I could show you some countries in the Middle East where belly dancing and other promiscuous dancing is similar to twerking, and there are young ladies doing it, and it is a part of their culture. they've agreed that this is permissible in a sense, and then there are other senses where they're like it's only permissible when it's like this type of event. So we'd have to sit down and go, what's right and wrong. But I don't think you're going to be able to get some of these historic groups to come to the table, because look at some of the claims that are being made. For Hebrew Israelites, some Hebrew Israelites, Deuteronomy 28 and what is described in Deuteronomy 28 is the most, to my vantage point, is the most important thing. It's not believing for some of them, from my vantage point, that God the Most High commands you to be holy. It is that you are the promised people, and if you don't get that first, that's the cost of admission. Same thing with Muslims, same thing with Christians. Like the cost of admission, forgetting about holiness and honoring something higher than yourself. I can't speak for the African spiritualist community. You're the first one I'm really engaging with. Like, usually this is uncharted territory for me, so I don't know. Bex can answer it for us. You can figure it out.
I don't see that happening.
God.
I guess that's my ultimate problem, because I'm not suggesting that, hey, let's leave behind, start a group around African spirituality or anything like that, because I feel like that inadvertently will lead down the same path. Is that we've tried, whether it's our group of people or even just this fucking country in general, have subscribed so much to religious principle that at the end of the day, now we got the nation aligning with Scientology. There's a power structure in religion.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like when you get so big, it's easy to forget that the power structure that's in the religion is in the religion, not in the leader on earth of the religion. Yeah. And it's not hard for us to forget. It's hard for that leader to forget that he's not the power structure. And that's why I think so many of these groups in countries go down this same rabbit hole of what turns out to feel like corruption, because the power structure that was there as a guiding principle becomes the power structure of who defines who's running everybody following it.
You're right. You're talking, so from the Christian vantage point, you're talking about pastor worship, right? And I think so pastors forget that they're here to serve. They're, in leading us, they are here to serve us. They're here to serve us in regards to the way God described for them to serve. Teach people to be holy by you first being holy yourself, right? There's a great Christian theologian who passed away by the name of R.C. Sproul. He wrote a book called The Holiness of God, and he talked about the primary purpose of the church is to reflect the holiness of God to the rest of the world. This is, it's controversial for me to say, but I think, if you read the Old Testament and you read it well enough, you'll understand that the thing that was special about the chosen people were that they were supposed to be reflecting the holiness of God to the rest of the world. And we could have a very robust conversation about how that was not accomplished. Like, they were not reflecting the holiness of God in any regards, which is why the Old Testament is so long. It's about the ups and downs, the trials and failures. I don't think so, Cincy, though, my brother. Like, my love and respect for you is born out of the fact that I believe that you are image bearer of God. On a personal level, that works, right? Now, on a group level, how do we get our groups to respect those boundaries? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we get groups within the Black community to respect those boundaries? I can't be accountable for everything that everyone in the historic Black church is going to say, but someone's going to say something stupid, and that I'm sure of. And it's like, because the views don't allow themselves to mix, and that's the hard part for me to say, right? The views, at some point, there has to be an evangelistic portion where I'm going to say to you, I believe if you don't believe these things, you are going to go to hell. You know what I'm saying? And like, that's the hard that's the hard part. And on the other side of the table for Muslims, if they're being honest in their belief system, they're going to say the same exact thing, right? And the Hebrew Israelites, just being honest, they're going to say the same thing. And to a certain extent, even the African spiritualists are going to say your spirit is going to be abandoned You've turned away from your forebears, and so that I think when it comes to spirituality, that's going to be extremely hard. Now, pragmatism, we see how well that worked out for the communists. You know, I don't know. I want it to work. I want people to be like Dope Dynamics. I want them to see how we are a utopic Pangea like little group. When we argue, we curse each other out, and then we come back together, and you guys tell me I was wrong, even though I was like, wait, they're wrong. Why am I apologizing? And then I, like any other Christian, I eat the bullet and I get up on my cross and I'm like, okay, I guess I was wrong.
So dramatic.
We got other stuff to talk about tonight. So NASA, great breakthrough, right? If you've seen the movie Deep Impact or Armageddon, you know that there's a comet Earth right now to ruin your fun times. All right? Thought you were going to spring break? No, you're not. No, you're not. Comet's coming. But NASA, the fine people at NASA did something amazing this past week. Cincy, tell us about it.
Yes. So basically, they started a program. I want to say it was 7 years ago. It's called DART. So what it is the Double Asteroid Redirection Test. And it's a spacecraft that they developed to see if they could, in fact, actually guide a spacecraft to a target, a moving target at that, and knock it off of its course, redirect it, essentially. So what they did was they sent this little dart with a camera attached to it, as we're seeing right here on the screen, and they launched it at this thing going, I want to say it was 14,000 miles per hour through space, and it had a successful impact on the asteroid. Now, what they're waiting, they said it's going to take about 10 days to figure out if it did change the trajectory of it, but they're essentially looking at it as a success either way, because they at least know they can guide something to a target at this point. I want to say this thing is only 525. Yeah, it was 525 feet in diameter. So this is much different than trying to land something on the fucking moon. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a space dust, basically, in comparison. So I think it's huge. I was excited about it. Obviously, you can see all the smart ass mathematicians over there were excited about it.
That was my favorite part.
It's good to see that. Me and Steve kind of had a conversation before the show about it. It's nice to see NASA doing something, because it's showing something that's actually may, at some point, we never know, have an impact on life on Earth, unlike trying to build shit on Mars.
Yeah.
In the video we were just watching, the people with the blue shirts, those were NASA people.
Yeah.
Why is NASA so white? Damn. But so this is like real life, like Angry Birds, like we're flinging space shuttles at shit.
Well, yes. And I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people don't know that's exactly what they do with everything they send into space, is actually fling it.
They're flinging it in there.
They fling everything in space. I've always thought that was kind of cool, because you would think you're just like navigating, like, you would see a spaceship, but they actually like use the gravity to get flung places. So
I was telling Cincy before the show, I'm happy that this was NASA doing actual science, right? Okay. Buckle in. Here it comes, my guy. This was actual space-bound science that has a positive impact, no pun intended, on us, right? They're like, there could be an issue, there could be a threat, we need to address the threat. What can we do? What is the science? How do we prevent it? Now, on the other side, you got Elon Musk and the guy from Amazon, like, we're taking Corey Feldman up just far enough out of the atmosphere for no friggin' reason. And I'm happy to know that our spacefaring programs are doing something. They are waiting for the data to come back to see if it actually changed the trajectory. That is going to be the thing that is really groundbreaking, because that means that we've actually, the space programs are woefully neglected, but it's something we need to think about. considering that there was a cataclysmic event that wiped out a species prior to us on this planet. It makes me happy. Real science, real space science, right? No more Donald Trump talking about lasers and that crazy lady talking about Jew lasers in space. Like, this is actual science regarding space. It's been a long time coming, right?
So we don't know if it's made contact yet?
It made contact.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you can see it. Well, you can't actually. You can't. There is a video that you can see it made contact because they sent a separate satellite up to watch it from afar. One of the Italian agencies, I think, sent a satellite to watch that. But the actual video we just had up, you don't actually see the impact because it's obviously things smashed into a bazillion pieces once it hits. But yeah, so.
Wait, was this thing headed towards us?
No, they didn't try and do it with something that was headed towards us or anything. It's
Okay.
7 million miles away. It's rotating another asteroid. So that the other asteroid apparently is so big it has its own field of shit, going around it, and they were just trying to knock one of the pieces off just to see if they could do it. So it was no threat. It wasn't an active threat or anything.
Yeah. To all you Scientologists, this is the shit L. Ron Hubbard didn't teach you about, and you Mormons. I'm happy about this. I'm extremely happy that we're actually putting funding in this. I was a little disappointed with the amount of people in that room. It makes me feel like they're not. What'd you say?
I just said you're just taking shots at everybody tonight. But go ahead, continue.
Well, I'm trying to think of an eloquent and articulate way that represents my views as a Christian who is
just say
referred to as lapsed in how I can regard this. Let me see. Fuck Elon Musk and fuck Scientologists and fuck Jeff Bezos, right? Because when it comes to our space programs, we all know that up until recently, the technology in a shuttle was woefully lacking compared to the technology in a Prius, right? And to see that this is I'm not bullshitting. This is public record. The navigational system in your car might be more advanced than some of the shuttles they were sending up within the last 10 years. There have been some leaps in that regard, and people taking it more serious. But I think it's something that we do need to pay close attention to, because this could happen, right? And who's to say that an asteroid hitting the Earth would have the same effect that it had when it caused the Ice Age, allegedly? But it could have serious effect on a world dependent on a grid. We are so woefully impressed by ourselves that we didn't learn anything from COVID, which was that a pathogen completely shut down the infrastructure that we built. So imagine what would happen if a comet hit a certain part of the grid and then we were out power for an extended period of time. People didn't know how to behave when they had to stay in the house. Imagine if they have to stay in the house without any internet or spoon. It's gonna be bad. So this makes me very happy.
On top of that, I know like 2 people that know how to make fire, and one of them's me. So
I live in the woods, man. I've learned to live like these country people, man. Every once in a while, I just come out on the porch and I kill a deer with my bare hands just to prove that I can do it. I'm gonna be fine. You're not gonna make it next. Yeah, your state's going cannibal first hour. They're like, there's enough food for everyone for at least 2 years. Be more. It's like, no, fuck that. We gotta eat each other.
Jesus Christ.
Stop blaspheming. Blaspheming. I'm gonna start saying something like, dear Wakanda.
What?
I don't know how to blaspheme in African spiritualism.
I didn't mean to do that.
No, this is good stuff, man. If you're, it's just something that I don't think enough people know, that NASA doesn't. You watch movies like Apollo 9, you watch Deep Space, and you think NASA is G'd up, right? They're up. No, NASA is not up right now. In fact, they had disbanded the program, or were planning to at one point. Am I correct, Sensei?
Yeah, they did disband the shuttle program, is what they disbanded. It was probably about 10 years ago where they completely disbanded it. So everything that they've been doing to this point has been actually through Russia, which is quite ironic because they just gave $1.1 billion to fucking Ukraine to fight Russia. But, you know, that's neither here nor there.
Whoa. Take it back. Listen, those people in Flint are going to be okay. They don't need drinking water.
Get the clean water.
The Ukrainians need
all
help.
that other shit, you know. Ukraine. So how are we in a war with Ukraine? How are we funding Ukraine's war, but still reliant on fucking Russia to send spacecrafts up there? I don't know. But yeah, they were disfunded. They are trying to start their space shuttle program back up. They're just not getting a lot of noise because the advancements that SpaceX has made is so far advanced in the 10 years they have. NASA hasn't done shit with that it's not getting the same noise, but people don't know because they're severely underfunded, but they still came up with some good projects with the telescopes and then like this DART mission to the asteroid.
So I believe that more DART missions need to be funded because I think that any external threat to humanity should be something we take serious. I also believe that we should start looking at terraforming and the technology behind terraforming and what that looks like, right? Everyone wants to believe that Elon's going to get them to Mars. No one wants to think about how they're going to live once they get there, right? And we need to start looking at advancing our technology in that regard. So, you know, agriculture on different planets. But this is the first step, I think, in the right direction in taking serious how to protect the Earth. I am a person who doesn't believe in aliens, right? But the DART program makes me believe that we might be thinking about how we could shoot a nuke at the little gray people that are coming to enslave us. Because if I was a gray person, I look down here, I'd be like, I came in peace 20 minutes ago, but I just saw a Meg Thee Stallion video, and now I realized that I should not come in peace. Maybe wipe you all out.
He never misses an opportunity to take a shot at Meg Thee Stallion. I thought he was going to say Cole Leroy, but you know.
I believe Coy Leray alone. It's pronounced Coy Leray.
Leroy. I think she's a boy. Leroy sounds more boyish.
Whoa.
This isn't coming out, damn it. This is dope dynamic.
I don't want to get off the science, but we got to talk about a little bit more science while we still have time. We got to talk about some. I picked a topic for Bex tonight, and it's a doozy. It is a doozy, folks. Okay. So I was minding my business the other day, Cincy, right? Also watching the DART program. They had a really good segment on it on ABC where they really just deep dive into. I'm gonna send you the link. I meant to send it to you before to see what you thought. But Bex sent me something on IG the other day. And
what did I send you?
I didn't really know how to process it. So like most times when I don't know how to process something, I just, kept looking to see, is this a real thing? Cincy, are you up on black breeding?
Oh God.
Excuse
me.
Breed
black? You know what that means? Yeah, you know what that means?
I mean, I like the way it sounds, but I'm not sure what the fuck it is. Why didn't I get this video?
She only sends stuff like this to me to make me angry. I'm convinced of it. Okay, so let me share my screen. There are some women out there who are doing their part to further the black community, right? And improve our numbers, and it's called Breed Black. It's hashtag breed black. And it is women not black having coitus and then producing a child with a black man to breed black, and they're celebrating their breeding black. Bex, you want to roll us out on how you came into this great truth?
I don't know. I just be finding shit. It just popped up on Instagram. I'm like, what is this? And then I just started scrolling through. I'm like, okay, this is very interesting. Interesting thread.
All right, so this thread is amazing. The comments are amazing. I just scrolled on one that I shouldn't have scrolled on, but so essentially you see here these women are, they're celebrating life, right?
And the whole community, like,
There's a whole community out there trying to help improve the community. Bex, what's your beef? They are allies. Are they not allies? Is this not what an ally is?
No.
I don't understand. Why is no one?
It's very extremely fucking cringe. Like this very first comment I'm seeing it. Like it's super cringe. But you know what? White women, if you want to be so fucking aloof that you want to breed your own race out, I'm here for it.
There is no pulling out breed black, says Sister Soldier Vanilla. I'm proud to be hashtag black bread.
It's so cringy.
It's just the Ali Kwan mayonnaise.
Oh shit!
Finally, black bread.
Oh my god.
I blame this on the princess community.
What?
Oh, no, see, this is just a mom and
Blame Afrobeat. You think she ever listened to an Afrobeat song before she had that mixed baby? She probably ain't even ever heard that song.
probably heard the song while she was making a baby. But I'm not going to denigrate this woman and her child right now because this is obviously just a mom who loves her baby. You know, maybe poor captioning right there. Look at that baby. Oh, did you do it with baby? All right, so black bread. It's a community. They're growing. Allies to the black men, obviously. What's all the hate about?
Next, take it away. This is on you. As the resident black woman, I know you're angry. Just admit it.
I'm not angry. But it's very weird and it's very cringy but I'm not angry. I'm not angry. They're not breeding themselves out. Like they'll be fine. It's always going to be white women around. They're bleeding and they're breeding. It's the black men that are breeding themselves out. But
wrong. I knew you were going to go there. Wrong.
Because it's true, but whatever.
Wrong. Because you know what happens? Not most. I don't know what the science is on this. So I'm just hypothesizing right now. Most of these children will probably either, if they're boys, they're going to have sex with either a white woman or a black woman. So then we break down the ratios. No one's breeding anyone out. The only people in danger here are the mixed race people because it's not like mixed race people are breeding with each other, right? But I don't know. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's how we stop all this madness. Maybe we stop being so hell-bent on our own identities and we just make the gray people.
No. And when Manta said that same stupid bullshit that other time, I said no to him too.
Listen, all I'm saying, you have to think about it. Well, I'm going to go atheist here for a second, but I'm not going to attack religion, my two spiritualist friends. Maybe it's not religion that's dividing us. Maybe it's culture. Why not damn culture? Forget religion. Why not damn culture?
What do you mean, damn culture?
Oh, you know exactly what I mean.
No, break that down for me. What do you mean?
The real arbiter of division is not religion. It's culture. Different cultures. So why don't we just do away with cultures and we all meet in the middle, make the gray people?
Why on earth would we do that? How do you say?
How do I say that? Because I'm using the same exact logic that most people use in regards to religion. I'm saying that there is data conclusively that proves that wars are not started solely for religion. They're started because of opposing cultures. So if we do away with cultures, then we do away with war.
How do you do away with a culture?
Well, we just saw it. You gotta be willing to mix it up. You gotta swirl it up. You gotta swirl it. You gotta be like, we gotta let go of this shit. We gotta stop being tribalist.
And then we're gonna be left with a whole bunch of confused mixed babies.
Oh, so you step right in the trap. Why would they be confused if they're letting go of the culture? What if the culture, the new culture, like
is not gonna be let go of.
What if the new culture is unity? We're all surrounded in unity. That's the philosophy.
And do you really think that's going to happen, Steve?
I'm asking you. I don't have to prove it. And why don't you want to do away with the cultures?
I don't see how you can do away with a culture.
You can, but why don't you want to? That's my question.
Because
you've spoken on this before. Why don't you want to see black people, white people, and brown people and Asian people, all people become one people by the only real means that we have to unify? Quoted.
Why would you want to erase yourself from this world? Why would I want to forget my identity and erase myself?
I'm not erasing my individuality. I'm erasing the thing that causes war.
Your blackness?
Culture.
Your blackness.
I'm asking you, Bex, what causes two people groups to go to war, even in Africa? Why would two tribes, before resources were a real issue, go to war?
You can't erase a culture. That's not happening.
You're not answering the question, but these women are they're at least trying to tap into a solution.
No.
This is the greatest episode of all time.
I'm just asking, why doesn't anyone, in the immortal words of Bill Burr, why aren't we allowed to ask these questions? If it was a religious topic, not saying you two, and I really mean that this time, because you guys have never come from my for religion. Well, you haven't, Bex, that motherfucker right there. But no one ever wants to go, maybe it's not what we believe in. Maybe it's us. Why not just wipe away the most obvious thing? Get a bunch of blonde-haired, brown-skinned, aboriginal-looking mofos, you know what I'm saying? Wipe out the cultures. Cincy, you don't want to wipe out the cultures? Get rid of the dividing lines?
I thought we were about to be talking about getting rid of white people, which I'm so dedicated to. I'd throw myself out a fucking window.
See, there you go.
Just to get rid of the confusion.
Why not get rid of all cultures, right? I think those very armed hipsters in Lower Manhattan might have a good idea.
I mean, you know what? Hold on. You know what we've really failed to call out? Because Bex on this very show has admitted to the world that she likes light-skinned men, so she should be the one the most for this fucking breeding. Because you can't get those without the fucking swirl. And it might not have been their parents then, but somebody's grandmama was getting swirled on.
And you too. You like a dark. I'm just trying to understand, right? We are, if I had 5 atheists up here and I was like, hey, this is your opportunity to get away, they'd be like, down with religion, we'll wipe them all out, except for Muslims, because we all know that atheists and liberals are scared of Muslims. But why not deal with the thing that's really causing strife between us? Bex, I need you to join on the hashtag white bread or light bread. And that will be your commitment as an ambassador of the black people.
You know how I would be dragged if I started doing that by black men. Black men will drag the fuck out of me.
Don't worry about those unemployed motherfuckers. I'll handle them. Because only unemployed fools have that much time to drag anyone on the internet, right? People that have jobs are like, oh, this shit is stupid. And you know what I got to do right after I see some stupid shit on the internet? I got to get back to work. I got to feed my family. I got you. Cincy, you will deal with Asian bread.
With who? No, you said Asian?
Asian bread. That will be your...
I've got guiding principles, and they have to be darker than me for me to breed with them.
Okay, so we'll send your ass to Nigeria, and
it's much more accommodating.
But it doesn't work. See, the genetics don't map out right. So I got to send you somewhere where you be of use to the people, like Ireland. We got to do our part to do away with. I don't understand why you guys are so apprehensive. This is how we fix these cultural issues. Why aren't you two leaning into this?
No.
And then Zola, doing away with culture does not mean you do away with history, because I've thought about this in the last 5 seconds. Once the gray people take over, right, they will remember their history and how bad things were, right? As they examine history, they're like, oh man, there was someone named, Donald Trump, Meg the Stallion, the most evil characters to exist throughout history, and onward and onward. And they'll be like, wow, that culture was really bad. We're so happy that we mixed cultures. You guys can't find flaw in my logic. You're trying to, but the real war is between cultures. That's why they call it the culture war.
I don't believe that you can just do away with a whole culture.
You haven't even tried yet.
Why would you want to try?
You have to at least commit to breed white for 5 months before you can say it's not going to work.
I'm not doing that.
It's for the culture. It's for the culture.
How is it for the culture? Explain to me how.
The new culture. I don't understand why you.
Explain to me how. How is it for the culture?
Because it's true. This is the dichotomy that people don't understand. It's like, okay, we want to drag religion, we want to drag all these things because it's been responsible, even though we know that communism has been responsible for the most high body count known to man in regards to anything. It's not even close. But I'm telling you right now, here in 2022, these confused women, or enlightened, depending on what vantage point you're at, they have committed to a higher ideal. And they've said, I'm going to breed black. And then their little brownish babies are then going to breed with other gray people. And the more they do that, there will be less attachment to divisive cultures. Tribalism will break down. People will see each other as people. Unless we continue this light, dark, brown thing. But then, we'll get to how we deal with that later on.
You know damn well none of that makes any sense at all.
Oh, it makes terrible sense. And that's why since he's giggling, or it makes absolute sense. I just want to know why you wouldn't want to let go.
Because it doesn't make any sense to me.
What it does, if you start breeding away from tribalism and we start breeding towards unity.
First of all, the word breeding makes me uncomfortable.
Why? Why does breeding?
Because it does. When I hear the word breeding, I think of animals, and then I think of like that
breeding.
Weird shit that was going on during slavery, and it makes me uncomfortable.
Well,
no.
Which point in slavery? Are you talking about when the Irish were enslaved? You talking about when the Mesopotamians
The
were?
Irish people were not slaves.
They were slaves, though, Bex.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they were, Bex. There were many people who were slaves under the Roman.
Chattel slavery? Irish people were in chattel slavery?
Those poor potato-eating bastards. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and how is that? They're fine today, right? Like
No, they're not. No, they're not. A lot of my Irish friends are strangely parallel in the same situation we're in. But I'm asking you this, Bex. You
are
have
Irish people getting pulled over and getting shot by the police?
You have to take in your responsibility.
Okay.
No pun intended. You have to take on the responsibility. Breed or love to create a new world. Are you not going to love to create a new world?
No, thank you.
So you're happy with the world in turmoil as long as you get to keep your culture.
I'm fine. I'm thriving.
And there it is. Since you got anything to say.
I'm good over here. Okay.
I'm not here for this shit, but it does make sense. But I'm not here for it.
I thought we were. Stop. What did you just say? 3 seconds ago.
Your logic,
but I don't understand
makes sense. But I'm not here for it. I would be here to breed out a group of people.
You two sound more and more like dictators the more we talk.
I agree. I'm definitely a dictator, and I will admit to that.
Like the more I talk to you two, I'm like, it's like talking to Emperor Palpatine and the version of Emperor Palpatine.
You're absolutely right.
And now you will remain black. The logic makes sense, though, Stinky, right? You are a person that understands this, right? Zola says no damn well. Listen, my wife's Colombian. I'm already tapped in. I'm already doing my part. So I'm just trying to get my co-host to commit.
And me liking light-skinned men, like that's just a preference of mine.
Oh yeah. It sure is a preference. But you see how your logic falls apart? Now, what about that beautiful black Nigerian man you gave no play to at Wendy's?
Yeah, I mean, because technically, you breeding with light-skinned men is breeding out your own kind.
What?
Yeah, I mean, I said
you're
so. There aren't any light-skinned black people. I'm confused by
No,
your statement.
I'm saying there are, but you are changing the genetics of your own people by breeding with solely light-skinned people.
yeah. Because you're gonna have a curly haired child, is what he's saying. That child is going to be.
That's not definite,
will-
though. You don't know how those genetics are gonna work.
Well, but yeah, you don't know either. Depending on that person's genetics.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Especially if they're-
nobody knows.
Yeah, especially well, Bex. Hold on for a second. Don't you have some type of miscegenation in your ancestry as well?
Yes.
Okay, bam, you're already working at a deficit. See, I fixed it. I fixed the world's problems. I'm gonna call the police and let them know, like, hey, I fixed this shit. Go ahead and go home for the evening. We're gonna start Steve's breeding program. Brought to you by the women on Instagram.
Also brought to you by the dude that was in the Nation of Islam's book that created all the white people. It's just the same thing, just reverse.
Oh man, you talking about the wheel and all that shit, man. Listen, when they come for you, Cincy, I'm gonna try to protect you, but they get really sensitive about that stuff, bro. Look, I'm gonna take that ass whooping with you, but I'm gonna tell you right now, if anyone's gonna bring out the hard shoes, old school Nation of Islam, it's that statement right there.
I didn't make it up. It's true. It's part of your history.
Not mine.
Not yours, their history. Maybe they should breed that out.
Breed black. Don't you hate those pioneers, Bex? Don't you hate those fucking civil rights leaders?
Them pioneers.
Yeah,
We're calling them pioneers.
They're taking one for the team, Bex.
Half those women.
Listen. What are we always asking of our white counterparts? Empathy, understanding.
Is that what we're asking for?
Protect us with your bodies. That's what those women did.
Who's asking for this? I'm not asking for this.
That's what Black Lives Matter is asking for. That's what the woman who said don't go see Black Panther unless you're black said.
What they got to do with me? What they got to do with me though?
She said use your white bodies, and that's what they did. They used their white bodies.
If Martin had a dream, we'd all be assimilated anyway. So,
yeah, that dream. We're not gonna talk about our good brother Martin right now, but
folks, I'm trying to get my sister Bex sold on this program. Breed white.
I'm not sold on this. Sorry, I can't get with this. I'm sorry.
But she's definitely, if you're too dark, she ain't breeding with you.
That's not true. That is not true. That is not true.
Anybody watching this replay, go back about 7 episodes. It's a 100% true.
Because you're making it seem like I'm colorist.
Multiple episodes. Any people read the descriptions. Any episode we talk about race, at some point or another, she admits to this. In almost every.
Admits to what?
You don't like those darkies.
That's not true. That is not true.
Sit in the camera without looking away. Don't smile.
Zola says ancestors are telling you to throw away the Zoom. The ancestors can't call. They didn't pay their bills, Zola. You know how that goes, right? They got to get it on the first of the month.
That's not true. I'm looking into the camera. That's not true.
Okay.
I just have a preference, just like everybody else has a preference. Everybody else is allowed to have their preference.
Yeah, but you deny your preference. If I say you have a preference, you're like, no. I'm like, but Bex,
I've never denied my preference.
Okay, so here it is, right here, right? And I'm gonna do the same thing to Cincy, right? Because I actually, honestly, you guys know that my preference is more just I just want someone that loves me for who I am.
That's nice.
You walk in a nice restaurant in Atlanta, right? You see there's a dark complected, strong, ancient black man standing there with a nice suit on.
Okay.
And then you look over to the other side of the bar. Also on the other side of the bar is a strong New Orleans, Creole bred, light-skinned, crystal-eyed motherfucker standing there with his curly hair. Which one are you gonna breed with? Save the world.
Wait, which one am I gonna do? What?
Breed.
I mean, what's the scenario here? Like, is it the end of the world or some shit like that?
Save the world, trying to save the world from racism. Which one brings you closer to that goal? That dark motherfucker is getting pushed right out the way when Bex tramples over him, running towards the dude that looks like he could be in an interview with a vampire. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of which, you guys gonna watch the new Interview with a Vampire? They turn Louis black.
I am gonna watch it.
See, breed better. Now you'll get closer to black mermaids. Right? You get down there in Mesopotamia. That's because some black mer dude from somewhere in Africa swam. Right? Oh, we got Ariel. All right, we're getting out of here. It's just going crazy. Since you got anything you want to promote, you want to take us out of it?
Oh shit. Oh, none. I appreciate everybody that's came through. Another great, interesting episode of Dope Dynamics.
And to think I missed you guys. Like,
you did. Stop lying to the people. Tomorrow night's Thursday, right? Because I'm so confused. I haven't been here in like a week. Tomorrow night we got Princess Bex, Pillow Talk with Princess Bex. We know what the topic is this week. What's the topic? A hell of a way to promote a show. Then on Friday, we got Fufu Friday. For us, Fridays, if you don't know, now you know. I will be doing my thing. Maybe on Mixcloud, I might go back to Spoon. I don't know. Mixcloud trying to jerk me like the fucking white man usually does. And then on Sundays, we got Request Box Live. And we did Soul Sundays last week. This Sunday, I don't know. I kind of liked Soul Sundays. I didn't really hear back from anybody that didn't like it. So I might just keep going with that group for a little while.
I loved it. And remember, folks, when you're faced with the opportunity to save the world and you find yourself standing in a restaurant and you see someone of your own race and then someone of another race, remember, breed better. Stop the racism. Go have sex with somebody outside your race. Learn from the women.
Are you seriously promoting this?
Are you seriously promoting hate?
You just made up a slogan and everything. Breed better. Breed better.
Wait, is that the hashtag? Breed better.
Hashtag breed better. Right? Bex is in line. She let you know with her eyes that dark skinned guy at the end of the bar, that man is going home alone.
I don't even know them. So
and her and Louisiana Pete are going off to make more great children. Good night, y'all.
I hate you.